out-of-body experience is a condition where you find yourself outside of your physical body, fully conscious and able to perceive and act as if you were functioning physically. With several exceptions, you can move through space and time, slowly or apparently, somewhere beyond the speed of light. You can observe, participate in events, make willful decisions based upon what you perceive and do. You can move through physical matter such as walls, steel plates, earth, oceans, air, even atomic radiation without effort or effect. You can go into an adjoining room without bothering to open the door. You can visit a friend 3,000 miles away. You can explore the moon, the solar system, and the galaxy if these interest you. Or you can enter other reality systems only dimly perceived and theorized by our time-space consciousness. It is not a new phenomenon. One of the first solid points of identification was a state that we began to label Focus 10. All the physiological responses are those of one in light or deep sleep. However, the brainwave patterns are different. The EEGs show a mix of waves ordinarily associated with sleep, light and deep, and overlying beta signals, wakefulness. We could tell easily from the instrument readout when they were and when they were not in Focus 10. It could not be imagined or faked, even if there had been any remote desire to do so. With the body asleep, i.e., the physical senses turned off or reduced, why not develop frequencies that would enhance perceiving by means other than the 5 physical senses? With the insertion of higher frequency beta signals, our subjects began to find much more than the usual blackness. First came light and color patterns seen visually in the blacked-out booth, with eyes either closed or open. Next came sounds heard in the head, not a part of the synthesized sounds, but voices, music, sometimes loud explosions that startled the subject completely out of Focus 10, something that has still to be explained. These phenomena were gradually perceived in a pattern as somewhat of a band preceding a change into the out-of-body experience. As the induction of the OBE state was examined further, one key element did repeat consistently. Subjects began to locate, within their non-physical perception, a pinpoint of light. When the subject learned to move in the direction of the light until it became larger and larger, and then move through it, the OBE state was achieved.
In the field of quantum mechanics, there is something called quantum entanglement. It is what happens when two particles interact, vibrate in unison, and are separated. They remain connected by something that defies logic, something science has yet to explain. Know there are particles that compose me, my very fabric of being, and somewhere inside of you are the particles mine danced with millions of years ago. Parts of me danced with you before time existed, and parts of me will dance with you for eternity after we return to that peace. I've spent my whole life chasing that part of you. A profound and beautiful poem by Tyler Kent White. Now let's take a moment to understand this concept of quantum entanglement. It's a phenomenon in the microscopic world, where particles become interconnected. The state of one particle directly impacts the state of another, no matter the distance between them. These particles could be separated by oceans, continents, or even galaxies, and yet they would still react in unison.
Facing physical death, and that means that this tuning device that we have called a physical body doesn't work anymore, so we have to phase out of it, and we're completely out of phase, and this doesn't work, so we are totally there. Again, our consciousness is not dependent upon this, it's over there, and being over there is again
a reality. And this is the thing that you begin to understand the more you get into this, that there is other realities which this mind that we have, this human state, can be conscious over in these other areas. And you can learn and do this long before you're forced to drop this physical body and go on. You can go play there.
Consciousness. It is something that we all have, yet remains the most mysterious human trait. This is a quality that every human being possesses. We can be aware of our own consciousness during waking times, when we are deep in contemplation, or even pondering the vastness of the universe. To better understand what consciousness is, many attempts have been made to define exactly what it is. Perhaps it is that state of wakefulness when you are aware of your surroundings. Some say that it is the ability to be aware of something going on within oneself. Others say that it is a sense of self-awareness. All of these are considered to be valid descriptions of consciousness. Since time immemorial, philosophers have debated the exact nature of consciousness and what it means to be a sentient or even sapient being. Advances in neuroscience have given us an intricate understanding of exactly how the brain works. We know the regions of the brain where memories are stored, where information from our eyes and ears are formed. We have even been able to transmit thoughts from one person to another via advanced neurotechnology. However, the source or cause of consciousness continues to elude even the most diligent of seekers. But there are some who may have found the answer.
Because everybody's totally fixed on matter is the ultimate reality, they're trying to explain how consciousness could possibly come out of matter, and they're getting nowhere. They've got theories in quantum physics that try, theories in information sciences, chemical theories, nothing works. But nobody dares question the assumption, and the assumption is that matter is unconscious. And that's the problem. If matter is unconscious, the problem is how on earth does consciousness, awareness, ever arise out of something that has no awareness?
Matter and energy are emanations of some deeper intrinsic order. All these seemingly separate selves, seemingly separate identities, going about their own lives, living what appears to be a separate existence. And yet we are all fundamentally sharing the same unified consciousness that the universe is made of. We've now seen scientific proof that the universe emanates from a geometric seed that doesn't have any space or time. Since we are conscious, consciousness must be in that seed. All of the universe is emanating from this. So there is scientific grounding to support the law of one philosophical stance, which is that in fact there is a one infinite creator and the universe itself is a living conscious being. Space, time, energy, matter, and biology are created by a universal consciousness.
Our idea about subatomic particles are, as physics class has shown us, little billiard balls. You know, that's what we think of. But actually, a subatomic particle is not that. It's a vibrating packet of energy, trading information and energy with other subatomic particles and this background energy field. So a subatomic particle is essentially a shapeshifter. So when you look down at matter at that tiny level, what you find is there's no such thing as a thing. The unit of the universe isn't a thing, it's a relationship. It's the relationship between those subatomic particles.
Scientists have been able to detect and record this energy field, but what we see as a background energy field may well be a unified field of intelligent energy. This energy is more than just intelligent. It is omnipresent throughout all of time and space and permeates everything in existence.
We've looked at the idea that the gravitational field is in fact a fluid-like essence of the universe that all matter arises from. It's the source of matter, energy, consciousness, spirituality. All of the things that we see in the universe, both physical and non-physical, arise from this source field.
When you start factoring in the whole idea of a quantum energy field, then that is a wonderful, neat metaphor to understand connections that occur between people or between people and other living things like plants across time and across space.
It is a self-organizing universe, and it is a self-correcting universe. The embryo knows how to turn into a baby. The acorn knows how to turn into an oak tree. Within nature, it is obvious that there is a natural intelligence at work.
Marcus Aurelius, in his writing The Meditations, contemplated, "For there is one universe made up of all things, and one God who pervades all things, and one substance, and one law, and one reason." In a lesser-known work of Charles Darwin, The Formation of Vegetable Mold Through the Action of Worms, he documented how far earthworms acted consciously and how much mental power they displayed. He concluded that there was no absolute threshold between lower and higher animals. Even Albert Einstein offered support to this idea of a unified consciousness with all living things. In his 1949 work, The World as I See It, he calls for us to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature.
Whatever that original source of consciousness that has brought everything into creation, visible and invisible, we're just aspects of that. It actually highlights how much bigger and greater the Creator is.
If I realize that I am a child of God, that I'm just an idea in the mind of God, then and only then do I get to realize that you are the same thing. And on that realm, there is no separation between us. On that realm, there is no competition between us.
We're talking about a universal consciousness where I'm going to talk to the Spirit of God within every living being. Now, whether we call that the zero-point energy field, we call that universal intelligence, we call it God. The zero-point energy field is the new name for God. So it's an ocean of holographic records that houses within it the history of every living being and makes the connection possible through means of a quantum process. And that quantum process is unconditional love.
Unconditional love is the key to understanding the nature of our connection. While this intelligent and creative field permeates everything in our universe, its loving and creative nature is what draws us all together and binds us to the universe and each other.
If my energy is not coming from love, compassion, and forgiveness by whatever name I give it, then I am making a world that will not be happy for myself and others, by the way.
You've got religious fears, you've got skepticism, you've got all sorts of walls that are there to stop humanity to increase its own cosmic consciousness. And they're all distancing themselves from the Spirit and from the face and the truth of God. And that's wrong. You cannot let go of the Creator.
We have a metaphor of ourselves, or an image of ourselves as the hero up against it all. The whole idea is about being right, being first, being individual. That's been our programming. If we have a hard drive, it's been programmed with I win, you lose.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this content intriguing.